ado, let's join me in welcoming to the stage the Minister of Finance of the Republic of Indonesia, Her Excellency Ibu Sri Mulyani Indrawati.
Thank you very much. Very good afternoon to all of you. Pak Rozan in here, which is going to provide the speech after me, and all colleagues, Pak Menteri PU dan Wakil Menteri PU, and then other colleagues, friends, as well as attendees. Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. Very good afternoon to all of you. It is indeed a great pleasure for me to be here to attend the International Conference on Infrastructure 2025. Let me begin by expressing my appreciation to the organizers and all participants who have gathered today. We all know that this forum is very timely, as all countries in the world face growing demands for quality infrastructure while at the same time navigating their fiscal constraints. In addition to that risk, a climate risk as well as financial turbulence in some part of the world also provide an additional complication on the financial landscape of infrastructure development. In this case, this conference hopefully is going to provide what is the plan and also the financing need for the infrastructure development in Indonesia. Indonesia as an archipelagic nation with diverse geographic and socio-economic conditions, we face urgent need to expand connectivity and also to ensure equitable access to basic infrastructure services. Financing remains a critical constraint. The total infrastructure investment needs for the period of 2025 to 2026 is estimated around $625 billion. The budget, government budget, combined with the local government budget, will cover around 40%. So we definitely facing with this funding gap. This will require private sector participation and also support from many partners, and also demand the creation of innovative funding mechanism. This domestic priority intersect with mounting global pressure which is currently happening. As we are all following, the world today is full with persistent geopolitical tensions, which resulting in heightened fragmentation and instability across countries and regions. The outlook of the global economy is not good. The OECD forecasts a decline in global GDP growth from 3.4% in 2024 to only 2.9% in 2025. The World Bank in the past 2 days has released a new report that the global economic growth 2025 will weaken 0.4% to only 2.3%. These challenges, combined with the climate risk, which is intensifying, will provide a huge challenge for many countries to plan as well as to execute the infrastructure development. The World Meteorological Organization has also issued warning that global temperature may reach record high over the next 5 years. This will intensify both the environmental as well as social economic vulnerability. The growing risk could also displace. The estimated of the displacement is around 260 million people within their own country that could be and will be displaced by 2050 because of the climate change. So with the risk of the climate change, it will demand a new level of infrastructure resilience. Extreme weather, the energy transition, and environmental degradation require us to go beyond physical construction and integrate long-term sustainability. Infrastructure consumes approximately 60% of the world raw materials. This is to underscore the urgency to integrate sustainability into infrastructure life cycle, from planning to the implementation. Parallel to sustainability concern, social equity must also be considered as a very important in designing the infrastructure project. We are operating in a world where social equity, transparency, and accountability are no longer optional. Infrastructure must be inclusive, bridging the gaps not just between regions, but also between people. So in short, infrastructure today is no longer just about connecting roads, ports, and cities. It is about connecting development with the impact. Sustainable infrastructure must fulfill a dual imperative. It must be designed with climate resilience and environmental responsibility, while also at the same time delivering inclusive outcome aligned with sustainable development goal. So ladies and gentlemen, colleagues, friends, building infrastructures at the scale and speed needed in developing economy is extremely hard. It requires massive financing resources. It also requires strategic policies and sustained commitment, both from the public as well as private sector alike. Funding and financing policies must evolve accordingly. And I need to emphasize this afternoon that the difference between funding and financing to be able to attract private capital. In short, funding is defined as about who ultimately pays the services provided by the infrastructure, who ultimately pays the services provided by the infrastructure. While on financing side, it is about who puts up the initial capital to build the project. The two, funding and financing, are deeply interconnected. If a project doesn't have a credible funding plan, meaning that it is not clear who ultimately is going to pay, it doesn't matter how fancy the financing structure is, investors will smile politely, nod, and walk away. So now let's apply this to the context of developing economy and country, as well as emerging country like Indonesia. While we are facing infrastructure gap, which is compound with public expectation, a high public expectation, but at the same time facing with limited fiscal space. That's why this conference is becoming very critical. Under the current circumstances, making the right policy choices become even more critical. Simply pursuing innovative financing models without addressing the core issue of stable funding can result in structure that only appear viable but not in reality. It can push risk back to the government in hidden and inefficient ways. Friends, ladies and gentlemen, honored speaker, dear participant, we believe this is critical for all of us to match financing structure with the risk. The real solution in the infrastructure development lies in a proper project selection, project preparation, credible pricing, and when needed, transparent, measurable, and prudent public subsidies that keep services affordable without distorting the incentive. In response to these challenges, the government of Indonesia has placed sustainability at the core of infrastructure financing strategy. Allow me to highlight several key efforts which is already being made and some of the instrument is already put into action. First, in the context of private finance, we have established the ESG framework for infrastructure financing since 2022. The policy guides the provision of government support to public-private partnership or PPP projects has been developed and already mature. We've already have within the Ministry of Finance Project Development Facility or PDF. We also have the instrument in the form of Viability Gap Fund. The government also providing government guarantee through Indonesia Infrastructure Guarantee Fund or IIGF. The government of Indonesia Ministry of Finance also has already completed the instrument with the availability payment. This all instrument will also fit very well in addressing the issue of climate risk mitigation and also to make sure that the infrastructure, sometimes no matter how huge and risky, but it is strategically important for the country and the economy, it could be developed in a sustainable way. Today, the fiscal support has helped attract a total estimated investment of $18.8 billion. This is already cover various eligible sectors from road, toll road, up to the energy or even water and other infrastructure. This demonstrates that the government commitment to inclusive and sustainable infrastructure development in Indonesia has actually a long way preceding this government that is ready to be discussed and to be used by any existing investor or new investors in the infrastructure development. Another instrument which is already developed quite mature is the Ministry country by the Society One platform is already accelerating the implementation of blended finance concept. The blended finance concept is already being discussed in many international fora, especially if you are all a regular attendance of discussion or meeting related to climate finance. This is also a platform to provide a pool of funds from many potential lenders, investors, development bank, donors, or even philanthropists. The SDG Indonesia One was established since 2018. It is now under the management of PT Sarana Multi Infrastructure or PTSMI, which demonstrated significant progress. It's successfully reaching commitment from 38 partners, amounting $3.29 billion US. And currently, $399 million US has been disbursed. The services under this platform providing SDG financing facility, SDG development facilities, SDG de-risking facilities, and SDG equity fund. To date, the SDG Indonesia 1 has contributed to 111 projects development and 7 project financing. The SDG Indonesia 1 also contributed to developing ecosystem enabler by providing 96 ecosystem enabler activities, including capacity building, business matching, event or forum, and product development. In the area of public finance, we also already issue a lot of fiscal instrument according to the theme. We call it thematic bonds. Indonesia is among the emerging countries which is first issued the global green bond, even designed in a Sharia way. So we actually among the first country who issue domestic as well as globally green sukuk. Our total issuance has already reached $6.6 billion globally. Domestically, we already issue 78.7 trillion rupiah. So these are all the experience that we've already accumulated through many decades. And this hopefully is going to provide a strong platform as well as instrument for the government under President Prabowo, who will also launch infrastructure development, especially emphasizing through private participation. We definitely also hope that all this is going to be enhanced even further. The Danantara, which is established by President, who Pak Rozan is going to speak after me, to be able to then provide a credible with a track record on infrastructure development, that we can reach to many stakeholders, especially private sector, both domestic as well as global, in order for us to continue our journey of development. It is going to be a long journey. It's a long and winding road, just like the song, but we know that we are going to achieve. Thank you so much for all your attention. We are all going to commit to continue supporting the infrastructure development. Indonesia, in order to achieve our goal to become a prosperous, equitable country, infrastructure definitely is very, very important. Let us all working together in order for us to be able to achieve our goals, while at the same time, financially for many of the private participation can be viable and attractive, so that we are going to create a win-win partnership. Thank you so much.
Thank you very much.